this works. For some reason, the internet guy came and our internet's working worse than it was before they came. Hi guys, I'm Tiffany. Welcome to my quilting life. We are in a front-facing camera in the chair real quick to make sure that this stops freezing. And if it does, then I can just start working. So we're gonna just sit here for a minute, let it work. Sorry for my internet troubles. It just keeps happening. Hi, Vicky. Hi, Diana. I'm hoping people will find that I had to restart the video and hopefully it stays good. Hi, Jessica. We're hoping that the internet stays good because then I'll turn the camera around and put you guys back on the mount. We're just going to wait and make sure that the freezing part stops because this darn thing keeps freezing. Hi, Darlene. It's working. I got the notification. Well, hi, Judy. The notification or not, we need to make sure that my internet is working because let me tell you, they came again today and it's just, I think it makes things worse every time they touch that darn box. Hi, Heather. Hi, Holly. Hi, Judy. Hi, Emily. So we're just sitting here for a few minutes to make sure that I'm not freezing. And once we realize that it's not freezing and I have, see, I could see from my screen, it's freezing my hand as I move.
Where were you hiding?
As soon as it's done freezing, then we'll turn the camera around and get to work. So for now, I'm just saying hi to everybody that's coming in, and it's a very sloppy video to start. So this is the side of the room you guys never see. Like all my quilts.
Than before.
Oops. All the quilts hanging in the closet, hiding behind Scott's Iron Man shirt. He's not ironing today, so he's not going to wear a shirt. Look at all those quilts I need to do. I'm going to have my work cut out for me when I'm done healing from surgery, which is tomorrow. It's better than before. Okay, thank you, Judy. Hi, the other Judy. Hi, Suburban. All right, so it seems to be going good so far. I'm gonna put the mount back open and load you guys in it and see how it stays. Because obviously...
Oh, here, I'll help.
Okay, so I'm having surgery on my hand tomorrow and I kind of can't hold it properly. Sorry about flying across the room. I threw you guys accidentally. Can I have the charger?
There it is.
Okay.
Hi, Heather.
Now you're facing this way. It's still not freezing as bad.
I wish you the best for your out tomorrow.
Let's turn it around. Aha! Is my hand showing? No.
No, it's not.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Okay. Hopefully this works.
We could keep you in front-facing camera.
Okay.
Just make sure.
Is it working still?
No, no.
No?
Oh, no. Yep.
Is it working?
Yes and no. You're frozen with your head down. You're frozen with your head up. You're frozen.
It keeps freezing me.
It's glitching every 2-3 seconds, but yes.
Oh,
you're on.
Highly annoying. I'm going to do one setting on the phone real quick, guys, and see if it helps.
Now that you get up and moved, it's going.
I'm going to do one setting and see if it helps real quick. It sucks that I have to use my phone. Thank you guys all for the prayers. It's at 10 a.m. tomorrow, if you can still hear me.
We should be able to hear you.
All right.
Can't tell you.
Let's see. Does it fix it? Did it fix it? My hand is moving pretty darn quick now. All right. Is it working now? Check the screen and see. Is it working now? Or am I freezing?
It's a lot better.
Okay.
Let's put it that way.
All right. Better is better than better.
Yeah.
Better is better than
You're
nothing.
not going to get perfection.
All right. So if you guys haven't noticed, I posted the final video of quilting the quilt, which is right here. And now it's trimmed and ready for binding. And it also has the tag on it. I wanted to do all of it off camera because I didn't want to sit around and do nothing while the internet people were here. doing nothing because they didn't fix a thing, as you can tell.
They made it worse.
Still have horrible internet. So for those that are joining, also tomorrow 10 a.m. I'll be at the hospital for my hand surgery for carpal tunnel, and then after that there'll be no sewing for 2 weeks. That's why I was rushing this project. So for the next 2 weeks I'll be thinking of what I can quilt on all those quilts that I just showed you hanging in the closet. Because that's probably what I'm going to want to start with, is quilting and not piecing.
Oh, we're going to do an iron video?
Yeah, and there'll still be videos while I'm not here, so don't worry about all that. There'll still be videos. They just won't be me piecing anything. Anyway, I'm not going to turn the quilt around so that you can see the front until I get the binding on it. So, and I bind from the back and then fold to the front. So I put the binding on the back and then I fold it to the front. I'm going to start doing because I have a feeling that this video is just gonna be annoying whether I sew or not sew. So instead of playing with it, I'm just gonna get to work. So I have 2.5 inch binding strips that I sewed together, and I probably sewed more than I need, but that's okay because it's gonna do what I need it to do. And I did 2.5 inch strips, and now I'm just gonna sew them on all together. I pressed my seams. Normally I don't press my seams open either. For some strange reason, I don't know what I was thinking. I pressed my seams open. I was just whatever, because I was trying to get things done and prepared, and I'm like, what am I doing? Oh well, just keep doing it. So I pressed all my seams open. So as always, you leave a tail, and I'm going to make sure that my first binding strips seam doesn't end up in a corner.
Hi Donna, hi Jim, hi Nirico.
I'm gonna try to pull this over enough to just start sewing
Nirico's
it
in
on.
Melbourne. We got some other Australians. Heather from Australia and a few more.
Yep. All right, so I'm going to change my stitch length to about 2.6, 2.8. It's somewhere right there for stitching it on. And then when I this is the back of the quilt, which is a whole nother quilt in itself. When I stitch the front side, I'll change my stitch length to a 3 because I think it looks cleaner, and it looks like 10 stitches per inch, which is what I use when I quilt. So, and I'm using the same steel blue glide thread for the binding as well as the quilting. The quilting is in the steel blue, so I'm using the same thread for my binding. I do that often, but there are times that I'll attach the binding with white or a neutral color and then use a thread color that I quilted with or similar. The last quilt I used a similar thread color, and it blended perfectly. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. And if I can find my pedal now, and this process for me goes pretty quick, so just so you guys know. And I just leave the binding hanging on the floor next to me.
Hi, Carol.
Welcome everybody that's joining. This is the final video for this whole entire start to finish a Lonestar quilt series. So just know, if you want to see the whole entire process, every single video is available, besides this one right now, in the playlist. If you go on the top, it says Home Videos Playlist. In the playlist, there's a playlist called Lonestar, and it has all the videos from piecing it to even my little mess up with when I was building the star, which left this star right here on the back, and every single video all the way down to this one, all the quilting videos and everything. So this one is 100% the whole entire quilt being made right before your very eyes.
Is Joe on here yet? Nancy? Her name's Nancy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think she's on here yet. See it finished.
So I always stop a 1/4 inch from the edge. I fold my binding up, which you can't see because the whole entire thing is in the way. Then I fold it back down onto itself, creating a 45-degree angle. Turn the whole entire thing. And sometimes I start in from the edge, like off the binding, and sometimes I don't. Right now I just did. So I'm doing one of those sometimes things right now. I do want to tell you guys that this quilt started out 90 by 96 inches, and since I used the 6-ounce loft polyester, it finished at 88 by 93, I think, or 94. It's 2 inches shy. It lost 2 inches all the way around from the using a thicker loft. Just thought I'd throw that one in there. So those of you who've never used polyester batting and are curious about it, the thicker the loft or the more layers of batting you put in your quilt, the more you're going to lose in your size. So just remember that when you're piecing a quilt and you need it to finish at 90 by 90, and you're putting too many layers of batting, just remember the quilting is going to take away. Even if it's just an edge-to-edge design, it's still going to take away some. So if you want the quilt to finish, piece the top bigger or add a little bit more in your borders, if that makes any sense. That way it finishes after quilting at that size that you want it to be.
Hi, Diane.
I thought I'd at least share that little tip with you guys. And welcome everybody joining in to the final video.
Linda wants to know if I'm going to let them know how your surgery goes tomorrow.
You guys will know from me. I'll let you know.
Yeah, Tiff's going to do a vlog or
I'm going to vlog it.
Yeah, so
Which
you're
is
not going to hear
video
from
logging.
me.
You won't need to hear from Scott. It will be me.
You'll hear from her.
Even all doped up, you guys will get to see the real me. So when I get out of surgery, I'll be like in the video going, yeah, yep, exactly that. Because that was the last time I had surgery. I wasn't awake and I was trying to rip my face off.
Yeah. That was not fun. She was allergic to the medicine they gave her when she was coming out of anesthesia. And
Yep.
yeah, she literally tried to rip her face out, like scratch and claw. The nurse had to hold her down. And I had to hold her down. The nurse and I both were holding her down.
Yeah, it was horrible. We
not
found
a
out
funny
I have
thing.
another allergy to medicine. So not only am
Yeah.
I allergic to fentanyl, which is what they give you before surgery, so after surgery you feel relaxed.
Yeah.
Can't have it. I almost died on that one. But I'm also allergic to ketamine, which is the substitute that they would give you after surgery. So yeah, I can't have it. I'm allergic.
Yeah.
My goal is keeping my body from going into an MS flare because surgeries caused me to have a flare with MS. So that's my goal, is to prevent that from happening.
Hi, Heather. Diane's laughing at you.
It'll be a funny vlog. It'll be recorded and then posted, obviously. But like I told you guys, was it not yesterday, but Sunday, I'm gonna vlog the whole thing. So there'll just be a bunch of little videos about having carpal tunnel. And I'm gonna start it today or maybe tomorrow because surgery is at 10 a.m. So. Well,
Yeah,
it's not
means,
exactly at 10 a.m. I have to be at the hospital at 10 a.m.
Yeah, which means your surgery is at like noon or 1 or who knows. Whenever the doctor feels like it.
You guys always know at this process is where when I see thread on the edge, this is probably why this takes me so long. When I see threads, I snip them. At least around the edge. I go through the whole entire quilt before they ship off to pull any loose threads from it.
Hi, Paula. Paula says hello.
Hello. This quilt is kind of on the heavy side, so I'm definitely need to adjust very good as I go. And normally I do 2 1/4 inch binding, but this is the 2 1/2 inch binding because I did use a thick polyester for the batting. making up for it by having a thicker 1/4 inch more worth of binding available. Like I said, this process is the fastest process of the whole entire quilting thing for me. I try to put the whole side that I'm going to work on my lap. And as you can see, I am binding it in the pretty blue accent color that's throughout the quilt.
Linda says, I went to sew the binding on the baby quilt that I made. It took me 3 times to get closed right. One side was always twisted, but I got it. At least you finished.
Oh, from hooking the 2 ends together. That's where everybody struggles. I'll show you guys that though. As long as the camera doesn't freeze the whole time, I'll be able to show you. I try to show that every time I bind in a video because I bind quite often because I make so many quilts. So I try to show you guys how to join those as often as I possibly can.
Paula says your video on Saturday with Maxine was so funny. Seeing a new sewer.
Yeah, I gotta get her when I'm healed over and work on hers all by herself for a little while. That way, you know, and then just like guide her through sewing all her stuff together.
You can
and
try.
Then when I'm healed, I sew way faster than she does. When I'm healed, then I can just catch up wherever she is on mine. If that makes any sense.
Donna says it takes her at least 3 times to get her binding ends together without twisting.
When I first learned, I had problems too. Trust me. Of course, my first few quilts, I bound them with straight seams, so I really didn't have a problem. I just cut the next seam a 1/4 inch away and then hooked them together. And you could do that too. If you have a problem with doing a diagonal seam, you can finish it with a straight seam. There's nothing in the book that says you can't. You know what I mean? There's no quilt police. You can put all the seams together on a 45, but you can finish it with a straight seam. If you're struggling, then just cut them a 1/4 inch apart. You know, make sure that your one piece is laying a 1/4 inch over the other, and bam, just sew that together and be done with it. Press the seam open, fold it in half, and sew it on. Nobody's ever going to know. I don't think anyone's going to care either. My first like 20 quilts are all straight seamed stitched edges on my binding. Because I didn't know. I taught myself, so.
Suburban says diagonal looks so much better.
It does. It's cleaner, definitely.
Paula says it's so good that there's no quilt police.
You guys won't hear no quilt police from me. I don't have any problem with anything quote related because I just go with the flow too. I have problems. I struggle just like you guys. I mean, I'm not perfect. And I don't teach perfection either. I teach get it done.
Get her done.
Yep.
Thank you, Diane. That's a good comment. Diane says, good job, ladies. Never give up and never give in. And Emily says, well, there are people that think they are quilt police, but we don't have to listen to them.
Nope. Don't listen. Run away. Tell them, stop, devil! Stay away! Don't judge me. You know, I pulled this off of the frame at like 11, what was it, like 11:15 last night?
Yeah.
I was up pretty late working on this. But I got it done.
We pulled it off around 10 because I go to bed before 11.
Yeah. Okay, so it was around
You were in
10
here,
something.
though, messing with it for a while.
Yep, I got I got my deadline and it's going to go off in tomorrow's mail. So Scott will have something to do while I'm in the hospital.
Well, let's worry about getting into the hospital first. Whether it goes in the mail tomorrow or Thursday is not a big deal. Bumper, calm down.
Ooh. So bulky. Just the way I like it.
Heather says, true, we don't need that kind of negativity in our lives.
Nope. If I had, I probably would never sew. It would just make me feel, you know, like I don't want to do it or like I'm not good enough. You don't want to ever feel that way. Not in the quilting world. No.
You're harsh enough on yourself.
I'm harsh
you
enough
don't
on
need
myself.
anybody to You're by far your worst critic.
I'm a horrible critic to myself.
Everyone says, yes, she was my first beginning quilt teacher. Notice I said first, LOL. The second was a much nicer person.
Alright. I think this is the third corner. Maybe the fourth already. Oh, maybe it is the fourth already. Look at that. It goes quick, like I said. Yep, it's the fourth. I don't have that. I didn't piece that much extra binding. Look at that. I thought I pieced like a whole terrible amount.
Hi, Joyce.
Oh, shit. I mean, shoot.
What happened?
Oh, one of my binding seams opened up. That's what I don't like about pressing the seams open. Because the seam opened up and it folded itself over and stitched. Oops. Sometimes this happens. This is why I don't press seams open. Same with the quilting. I don't press the seams open because when you stitch on each side of the ditch, you're forcing that seam open even more. There's just some reason to the way I do things. It's rare I press seams open, but when I do, this happens.
Well,
Aye.
I've heard it a million times in life. There's the right way, the wrong way, and then your way. So you just do it your way, Tiffy.
Aye. Come on.
Jim says, I even saw once where someone posted a block she made and it had an error. Not one person posted about it. See, that's awesome.
All right, I gotta try to hold this down as I sew it very slowly. Yeah, as I try to speed. And then I backstitched over it. I don't want that seam flipping up no more. It's gonna be folded underneath, but still. Okay, a little bit further down.
I have the fluff police over here. Mr. Thumper and his fluffiness wants to keep getting after this quilt.
Yeah, he definitely approves of this quilt. It's got my blood, sweat, and cat all over it.
Oh, he hasn't been all over it. We've kept him off of it. He's tried.
A little bit more.
He has his own quilts. Notice I said quilts with an S as plural. He has more than one.
All right. Can you see down here in this direction very well?
Where?
Right here. We're going to go over
this.
this.
Yes, you can.
So that you guys can see. And now remember, we're doing this from my angle.
Okay. You can see from
Here.
your elbow right in over here to the top of this.
Okay.
Do you want me to move back farther?
No, we'll just do this.
Okay.
Right there. You can see that now, right?
Well, you could see it before. Now you just moved it up to here instead of there. You made about 2 inches more.
All right, so I'm going to snip away a start right there. A nice straight cut And then, so that's going to hang there. Then I'm going to make sure everything's nice and flat. And since I use a really fluffy batting, obviously mine, I have to like double check. But so I have this end piece, which was my starter. I'm going to lay that down. I'm going to take my 2.5-inch ruler. If you don't have a 2.5-inch ruler, you can use any ruler for this process. You can use a big one. So you can lay the big one on here. As long as it's the 2.5-inch mark is touching the edge of your piece, this piece right here, this starting piece, my 2.5-inch line would be on that. Okay.
Hi, Brenda.
To make things easier, I got these Missouri Star ruler right here that's already 2.5. So I'm going to lay it on here. Make sure everything stays nice and flat, right to the edge. Then I'm going to grab this top piece. We're going to flatten that out. It's going on top, not underneath, not to the side. It's going on top. And I'm going to flatten it out as best as possible. I'm not going to move anything. I'm going to slide my scissors under that top piece only. So this top piece, slide my scissors under it and then cut. And I never get a straight cut that way. But what I do is I come back and I straighten it like that. Then all we have to do is hook them together. So here's the piece I just ended with, and I just trimmed the rest of my tail off. We're going to lay that, open it up so that your fold is facing up like this. Okay. Then you're going to take this bottom piece. See, it's right there. Your fold faces out. You're going to bring that up to it. Just all you're doing is tipping it this way. You're not going this way. You're not twisting it around. You're just coming from this flatness to this flatness. And you're going to lay them on top of each other in an L-shaped position. Just like that. And then for video's sake, like always, we'll throw a pin in here, which I don't do on my own normally. But because we're on a video, I can. So we're going to put a pin there. I'll reach over and grab a second pin and put it down here on this bottom corner, just like that. So now there's nothing twisted or anything. So this one came out straight, fold facing up on me. And then this one, the fold faces down, and all you do is just flip it. So I'm going to sew from this corner down to this bottom corner on the back side, which you can see once you're at your machine. This goes so easy, so simple. And I'm also going to shorten my stitch length. I'm just going to line my end up with my line on my machine and sew to that opposite corner. So you should have a stitch that goes from the top down to the bottom corner, and it didn't really come out exactly in the corner. Never cared. And then before I do anything, I just open it up and see, no twists, no nothing. So the top piece was just opened up like that. The bottom piece was opened up upside down onto it. That's all you do. And then when you're finished, you just snip away a 1/4 inch. You can do it with scissors or you can do it with a rotary cutter. It doesn't matter. I'm just going to use the rotary cutter right now. Put all my stuff on the floor. I'm also going to finger press this seam open. Like I said, I really don't like open seams, but I did it throughout the whole entire thing. Just use my fingernail. Nice open seam. Lay it down. Make sure that this crease right there where the seam came together is a nice straight fold all the way across. And now I'm going to sew it. So let's take you back over to the machine. So I'm going to start about 1 inch from where I ended my stitching. I'm also going to put my stitch length back to a 2.6, 2.8, somewhere around there. If you were using a different machine, obviously. This one is a dial. I'm just going to start stitching about 1 inch before I end, and then 1 inch into my stitching. Just to finish it off. And you guys see that went so fast, so easy.
Oh, thank you, Diane.
just got to do it a few more times and you'll get used to it without twisting and turning them. Took me a while. And then an inch beyond where I started and bam, it's on there. Just like that. So you never know where I started and stopped. All right, now I'm going to switch my stitch length to a 3.0, which is like 10 stitches per inch. Sort of. Right there. And we're going to flip it around. You guys haven't seen this side yet. I'll hold the whole quilt up when we're done. I'm going to swap it around now so that the front of the quilt is up here. And now you guys are going to see the front, mostly. And all I'm going to do is grab the binding and fold it around to the front and stitch right at the edge, about 1/8 of an inch away from the edge. You could also sew from the back side and sew in the ditch of the seam. I don't really do that. I have before, and I just recently did on another quilt, but I usually don't do that. I just stitch right on the edge. And sometimes your eyes can like confuse you, but just pay attention, go slow. My kind of slow is fast, but you know.
My kind of slow is fast.
Your kind of slow would probably be slower. Unless
Like
you're
how
like
you
me.
worded that.
And I use my fingers to hold it instead of binding clips and all that stuff, although I have recently used my binding clips on a quilt. I don't usually do it, but sometimes, like if I'm doing it specifically or for a customer or something, you know, like this is a client quilt too, but I'm pretty confident in myself. But there are times that I've had to use my binding clips and I get like one whole side binding clipped and then I have to stop the whole entire thing and start over because I got to bind clip the other side. And yeah. Right now, I feel confident that it's going to land where I want it to, and I could fold it over and sew.
It's kind of like taping. Takes you longer to get everything taped and, you know,
Yep.
ready than it actually does to put the paint on the wall or whatever you're painting.
All right, so I'm going to have even more thickness when I get down here to the tag of the quilt.
I would love to
So
help
I
her
have to
lift
be
it, Linda, but she won't let me. Will you
very
let me help you lift the
careful.
quilt, Tiffy?
You don't need to lift it.
See? She won't let me.
There's no need for anybody to lift. I just adjust as I go. It's nice to have a bigger table too when you get to these steps. All right, so I'm now where the tag is. I can feel it. Now I'm gonna get my corner ready by mitering it. I pre-do that so that way it could just go right under the machine. I always take a stitch into the binding and a stitch out of it right at the corner, and then continue on down. Bring it onto my lap and go down the next side. And I kind of just use my fingers, you know, to hold everything down. I use my fingers to push it under so that any loose threads stay under there and I don't have to clip them all. And I use my finger in front of the foot to make sure that I'm not going to have a rolled edge, because sometimes that can happen and you'll stitch a roll. It just guides me where I need to go. My fingers.
Donna says you probably get 3 quilts done to her 1. You're so fast. But I have problems seeing. It's okay,
Yeah,
Donna.
I get things done fast, but that's just because I'm OCD and I'm a speed demon. I like to go fast. I don't know. I'm super slow. Even when my eyes are big, I still sew fast. Or anytime I'm feeling sick, I still sew.
Paula's a beautiful quilt job quilting it.
Yes, it's very beautifully quilted.
She's complimenting you. Thank you, Paula.
What?
She's complimenting you.
Yes,
And I said,
thank
thank
you.
you, Paula.
I enjoyed quilting this one. All it killed my hand, but that's okay because tomorrow, after tomorrow, in a couple weeks, hopefully it'll be healed and I won't have to worry about it ever again.
Paula asks, have you ever done a quilt as you go?
Yes, but it didn't turn out very well.
How
So
long
it's in the
ago?
garage, and it was like 5 years ago.
Okay, so it's when you first started.
Yeah, when I first started. I didn't know what I was doing. I don't know anything. I was horrible.
You learned quick.
Yeah.
Give you that.
But I haven't done one since. So maybe in due time I will do one just for video sake. I try my best to focus on start to finish type projects for you guys. So the next big one when I come back after surgery and I can sew again will be the Dresden. And before I do it, I'll give you guys an intro video with the supplies you'll need and so on and so forth.
That's a quilt long right there,
Yeah,
right?
a quilt along.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're going to do a quilt
It'll be a
long
start to
with that
finish. I'll even show you ideas for quilting on the long arm.
one. That one's pretty, too.
All right, so
I
I'm
like the
folding another
fabrics in that one
mitered
also.
corner.
Tiff
I
chose
also
very
snip
good
away
with that fabric.
all the loose threads because my basting stitches tend to come out at the edges more than they do along the whole seams. It's kind of weird, but that happens. All right, coming right up to it. Take back stitch, turn the whole thing, take a couple stitches, then adjust. Oh, and I do have to tell you guys, on the video that I just posted this morning, the last of the quilting on this, a lot of my video footage was corrupted, so I had to get rid of it. So if you watched it and realized I went from like one area to a totally different area and never finished, that's because that was just missing messed up video footage that couldn't be used. So it took me a while to edit it too because I had to get rid of all the sound. Because that was like a multitude of videos to create one video. I even ran out of video storage on my phone. I'm supposed to have like 10,000 hours available of video storage, but
Yeah, that didn't
I ran out
happen.
of space. So it doesn't show me finishing this whole blue right here because I ran out of space and I had to transfer the to a different album just so that I could start over again.
Judy says, I heard somewhere that attaching a bungee cord to the ceiling and then attaching a clamp to the quilt allows you to rotate it quilt easily.
Yes, for quilting, for free motion quilting, they sell a clamp system. They also have this like, it's a PVC pipey type bar looking thing that comes up and it's like an L shape and it comes together and then it has little clamp hanging things on it so that you can clamp your quilt hanging up like this around you. So it would be easy to move things around and stuff like that when you're... They sell all sorts of gadgets and stuff for free motion quilters. They even have like a round hoop thing that has two like little knobs on it. And you just stick it right here and you quilt in that section and then you move your quilt to a different section and then you just hold this like round thing with grips on it in the section that you're quilting. It's actually pretty cool looking. I don't free motion quilt anymore. I do on the long arm, but not sit down. But yeah, it's a pretty neat little thing.
Tim says Sandy did that on Poor Man's Sewing.
Says what?
Did that on Poor Man's Sewing, the bungee clamp.
Oh, yeah. I've seen lots of quilters do it. Lots of them.
Heather says it sucks when that happens. I was just talking about your video being lost, I believe.
Okay, it was already, no matter how many times I shrunk it, it was already 45 minutes worth of video as fast as I could shrink it down. But you guys got to see the whole thing being done, so that's a positive.
Okay, Donna has a question. She says, have you ever pieced a quilt on long arm or ever thought about doing one? I saw a video of one being done and it looked pretty neat.
I've seen it too, like crumb piecing on the long arm. They put the backing fabric on, then they put the batting down, and then they just stitched all the seams as they went. I've seen it. It looks pretty cool.
Have you ever done it though?
No, I've never done it. I could try. That'll be something for the future.
Heather says the ultimate quilt as you go.
Yeah, definitely. I've done that sit down wise. I've done that as a sit down thing where I made my little backing piece and my batting piece and pieced everything together. I've done it for bags even. You guys have seen me do that. Just never on a long arm. Only sit down. This pop of this pretty color right after makes this quilt look so awesome. Like it's definitely enhancing. Look at that last pop. So it goes from that color, and then it has the border, bigger border, and then back to this color again. This is another reason why I like folding my binding to the front, because it gives you a nice big chunk to add if you wanted, say you did a quilt that has no borders and you wanted your binding to look like a border. Bam, roll it to the front instead. That way it looks like it has another border. Or a pop of color to just finish it all off. When it's rolled to the back, it's so thin, because on the back side you can see, you only see a 1/4 inch of it, you know. So, yeah. No, probably a little bit more than a 1/4 inch, but still, you don't see much of it. When it's rolled to the front, you see the whole entire color. It's definitely fun, especially if you do a stripe print.
Hi, Elena. Elena says, ooh, nearly done.
Yep, almost. All right, I'm at another corner already, too. Ooh. Veered off. Oops. See, I make mistakes, guys.
Everyone does.
Can you turn the fan on, please?
Oh, yeah, of course.
I didn't think to change my fleece pajama pants before sitting down because it's still cold. Top half is and bottom half are sweaty because I'm covered under a quilt.
It was weird. Last week was super hot, then spring break comes and it gets cold. Well, the end of last week got cold.
Yeah, it got freezing here last night. Like, not freezing. You guys is freezing, but freezing for me.
Maybe it'll stay cold throughout all of spring break. Keep them all the crazies away.
Yeah. They'll still be jumping in the lake.
Oh, I know.
Or out on their boats.
Hi, Katrina. Katrina says they put a baby quilt Sherry's hand signed the binding on before she got really sick in your purse with all the cards people have sent her. We're going to bring it to her on her birthday. That's awesome.
Yay!
How soon is her birthday, Katrina? Elena says, my husband saw when I was replaying earlier. He said, oh, so that's how she does it, meaning your long arm with a plastic template. I said, yep, sometimes it depends on the design.
Yep. And don't think, I gotta mention this because it was brought up in another video I was watching the other day. You cannot use your regular rulers like this and you're thinking, oh, I could just use this. That'd be so awesome and make a really cool design. You can't use your regular acrylic rulers on a long arm. Why? Because long arm rulers are a 1/4 inch thick. These rulers are 1/8 of an inch thick. You don't want to attempt that. You will be running over it and you will break your ruler. And yeah, so just make sure when you're using rulers for any sit-down free motion quilting or the long arm that you're using the regulated long arm or free motion quilting 1/4 inch thick acrylic rulers. Because anything else, you're just going to break or ruin or something bad's going to happen and you don't want that to happen.
Okay, you have another question here from Quilting Beauty and Books. I think her name is Stephanie. But anyway, she says, hello first, and then she says, can you give a tip for when you're machine binding and after you flip to the front and sew it down like you are doing, what do you do to stop from hitting the binding on the back?
I stitch along the edge. Scott, you can hold up one of those edges
Of course.
of the binding.
The front or the back? Does it
Front.
matter?
Show them the front and then where it lands in the back.
None of our devices like any of us today.
I stitch 1/8 of an inch along the edge. Can you see that?
I think so, yes.
Okay.
It comes up pretty clear here.
On the back side, you'll get a line that goes all the way around, and it's plenty far enough away from the back piece. So the tip would be to stitch along the edge. If you're using a smaller binding, you're going to have a smaller edge, and you might end up sewing on that bottom, you know, the underside that you just flipped and end up sewing on it. The tip is to stay away from that and stay 1/8 of an inch away from the outer edge of your fold. So if it's folded over, stay on the far edge of your fold, not on the close edge. I know it's hard for some people to stay 1/8 of an inch away the whole entire time. Like I said, sometimes your binding will flip and fold on you. Prevent that by using your fingers. Take your time, unlike me. Take your time. Use your fingers to smooth things out as you go, and you should be able to stay 1/8 of an inch away from the edge at all times. That way you don't hit that back side. I have, like, when I first started, and I didn't even know binding was 2.5 inches, I was cutting it like 4 inches. I had some big binding on my quilts. And I never had that problem. But when I started getting smaller and smaller with the cutting until I realized I liked the 2 1/4 inch binding, then every once in a while I would hit it, and then sooner or later I realized, well, maybe if I just stay closer to the outer fold, then I won't hit it no more. And that's what happened. As soon as I started staying further away and not using my foot as a guide, just using my eyeballs at that 1/8 of an inch away from the edge, I started doing perfectly fine and never hitting that backside. So I can shrink it down to 2 1/4 inches and have plenty of room still.
She says, oh, gotcha. And Katrina says Sherry's birthday is March 20th. That's this weekend.
Yeah. Saturday, right?
I believe so.
But I just use my fingers to help the fabric stay down and guide it. That way I stay on that further side and I never end up touching that back, the back part of the binding.
Paula says, best wishes tomorrow. I know all will be okay. Thank you, Paula.
Whoa. one
Brenda
such.
says, hi Brenda, she was just listening and touched the screen to leave a comment, and you're live, surprise.
Yep, I am live.
And
Well,
Brenda says,
if you're watching this later, I'm not live.
then Brenda says, does Becca have that little curved ruler in her shop? Did you say she gave that to you?
Not the little curved one. She gave me the Angela Walters slim ruler.
Yeah, it's kind of long and skinny.
Straight, yeah, it's long and skinny, and then it has a curve on both top end, just on the one top end. And that's the one she sent me.
Does she have the curved one in her shop? Do you know?
No, I don't think so. The Westerly set you'll have to buy online.
You can check her shop out first if you want.
I doubt she has it though.
But,
She only wanted to carry the Angela Walters rulers because they were very popular.
Brenda says she has the slim.
All right, I'm literally almost done, guys. And then I can hold it up and show you, and then this will be the last quilting video for 2 weeks. Maybe even more, maybe less. We'll see.
Brenda says it looks really handy.
Oh, yes, it is. Definitely is. Especially for the stars. Although the little parts of the stars, if you guys saw in the video, even in fast forward motion, you can tell I free motion from tip to tip on these ones because they're so small. It's easier to just free motion it. So some of the they're more organic that way too. Some of the curves are even curvier than others. So, but yeah, that ruler does help for the bigger part of the star, and it created such an awesome, I mean, you guys can see that. It created such an amazing look. Even with the dot, using a thread that contrast is way a lot on here, you know, it shows it and it looks really, really cool.
Yeah, we definitely need to get that thing for Amazon or whatever. You send everybody there for stuff like that, you know? Yeah. Affiliate thing. I think you and Emily were talking about.
Yep. All right.
Because I'm sure they sell that ruler there.
About 16 more inches to go. 14 more inches to go. I've known, here's another thing that people have asked me before, and I'll say to it. Sometimes when you're, when you attached your quilt and it gets a little lump, it's okay to have that little lump on the back side because the front side's going to be straight. But what happens when you get to the front and you're sewing it, and this stitch right here, when I go to seal it finally, has a fold? I suggest to prevent that fold, stretch the quilt. This is why we piece them on the bias, not the whole thing, but the 45-degree angle, because it allows some pull around the whole entire thing. So stretch it a little bit, rub your fingers along it till it's flat, and when you get to your starting point, you won't have a little like stitch fold, because that happens sometimes. I just give it a little bit of a tug when I get closer to it, but I give it a little bit of tug, and that prevents it from folding over on me. So I'm coming up to it now. Just fold everything nicely. And I'm still kind of tugging on it to prevent that. You can see right here. Can they see right here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how clear it is. Naturally,
just from the quilt itself, you can see it's getting a little lip right here and it's sticking up. But if I pull on it, it goes away and makes it flat. That sometimes for some people creates a little fold at the start.
Do you want me to zoom it in?
You don't want that to happen. You can see that though?
Yeah. Do you want me to zoom it in so it can be easier seeing? I can zoom in on your phone.
Yeah. So if you guys can see how it's creating that lip just sitting there plainly, it has this up here. Sometimes it'll create a little fold right here at the start, and then you'll have a divot. To prevent that, just tug on it. Just tug on the quilt just a little bit as it's sewing. The machine is strong enough, and those feed dogs is strong enough to keep pulling your fabric through to prevent that weird fold from happening. So just tug on it a little. Backstitch and be done.
Okay, let's see if we can zoom out.
All right,
How do I zoom out?
So there
It's
we
not
go.
letting me.
Nice and flat all the way around. And because I was yanking on it and made a crease, now there's a little crease there in the fabric. Because I was
There we
purposely
go.
making
Now
a
we're
crease.
zoomed out. It took a while.
All right, I'm gonna go throw the. I'm not gonna throw this on the living room floor. I'm gonna have CJ come in here and hold it because this camera can look. CJ,
Was this not?
just leave it.
See that? Oh, now you're back on.
All right,
Here,
there you
I'll
go.
come over here now.
Stand behind it.
You gonna stand up on the chair?
No, you don't have to stand on the chair. Just hold it up. Hold it up. 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 There we go. Come to your side, Scott. More, please.
High as we can hold it.
Keep coming. Right there. Perfect. Thank you. All right, I'm taking you guys off of the frame, off of the holder, and we're gonna check it out.
Mighty pretty.
So here it is. I'm going to show you the quilting in a second. Let me just give you the whole quilt.
Mighty pretty.
And you can see that blue around the edge just looks like a finished border. Makes it look so awesome. Let's come in and look at the quilting. So you can see that's the sound of my stuff falling on the floor. You can see the swirls everywhere. You can see the outer border is like a swirly feather looking thing that just goes in and out, in and out. You can't really see the stitching in this border, but it's a feather. It's like a paisley feather kind of thing. So the swirls go all the way around the whole top. Wow, everything is falling now.
Because you're hitting it.
I have a mess to clean up now, guys.
It's not that bad.
So you can
It's a
see
tripod and a
all the way around this whole entire thing. It just goes. That's what's missing from the video is me quilting the last of that. And then you can see inside the star. You guys can hold it straight, please. I know it's kind of heavy, but inside the star, it looks really awesome the way it creates this circle. And then the circle ends. Again, in these, I did use the ruler in all of this area right here, just because I wanted all those to at least be equal. There's the bottom. And then the little side stars. And if we go to the other side, same thing, filled in. I pushed all that white back so that the star really, really pops. Let's back up one more time. So there it is, the Not So Alone Lonestar. And then turn it around now.
On the back.
Yep, here we go. The largest log cabin I've ever made. There we go. The largest log cabin. So that's a two-sided quilt. And you can see all the quilting from the back side. I used the same color thread on the back that I used on the front. And you can see it didn't land completely center. I don't even know where the center of the star actually is from the front side, but it's mostly center.
Right there. Do you see my finger?
Oh, okay. So here was the center of the front where Scott's finger is. So that's where it landed. So it's almost center. I was just that much off. That's
Where's
it.
yours right there?
Yep. Mine is right here.
Yeah, it's not far.
Here's my tag. It says Not So Alone, Lone Star, pieced and quilted by Tiffany Groff, Quilting Designs, March of 2021. So there we have it. You can see the stitching from the back side and all the beautiful stars and all the beautiful leftover fabric. We're going to be front facing for a minute.
Are you still on? I'm circling over here.
I'm still on.
Oh, okay. Then it's just this.
All right, guys. Whew.
Hi, June.
So
Hi.
there it is. Done.
I don't even think Joe's on here.
And now it's
Joe didn't even
going
get see
to
this.
Washington State. the state of Washington. That's where it's headed to. After I pick all the loose threads that it's picking up off of it, because it's picking up thread from all over the...
Yeah.
So it turned out, what was it again? 88 by
94.
94 or something like that. So
Could be 93.
I don't know, whatever. When I take my still photos of it, because I will take still photos of it and post it in the Facebook group. So if you're not part of that Facebook group, it's always in the description below every single video. It's Tiffany's Quilting Life Community Quilting Group. You can join that, answer the 3 questions, and that way I know you're not spam, and then you'll be entered into the group.
Katrina
Quick,
asks,
how
did you sew the label on the top of the label?
The label is made with a 8.5 inch square folded in half, and then I put interfacing in it. This time I just used a scrap piece. I don't even know what brand it was, but I just used a thing of interfacing and then iron it in there and then open it back up and stitch on the side that the interfacing is on with my Brother SQ9285's monogramming feature. And then I just stitch out all the letters, and then I hook it, I trim it down when I'm done to, you know, a little bit around the edges. I take some of it off. This time I only took like 1/4 of an inch off each side, and then stitched it on the corner. And I pre-stitch those on the corner before I sew the binding on. So that's how I do my little corner tags. And some people do their wall hanging hooks that way too, with the corner pieces on each top corner so that they can hang it on a rod on the wall. So I've seen that done several times, but that's how I do that. So yay, it's done.
Thank you, Joyce, and thank you, June. And saying good luck and prayers for tomorrow.
It's done the day before I have to have surgery, so I managed to complete a whole entire project before the deadline. I didn't have to sit on the frame. Yeah, I had some time, but not a lot. Anyways, so tomorrow, 10 a.m., I will be in the hospital. You guys,
had someone pushing you on and cheering you to the end.
You guys will see you'll see carpal tunnel vlog for quilters, quilters edition of carpal tunnel and how it just gets worse. Here's what it's like to have surgery. That's what mine is pretty much. So, and then you'll still see sewing and quilting related videos without the sewing in them for the next 2 weeks. So
yes, we're gonna clean the iron. We're gonna show you all the quilts again.
Yep. So we'll have fun doing
Some
other
bags.
things. Other than that, I'm going to get off of here so that I can go eat lunch because it is now 1:30 here and I am hungry. I'm a hungry girl, you guys. I'm telling you. And tonight I can't eat anything after midnight. So it means I got to eat all the food I can today.
Heather says, mission accomplished.
Yes, exactly. All right. Thank you guys all for all the wonderful love and comments and all the prayers for the surgery tomorrow. I'm sure it'll be fine. As long as they don't give me something else that I find out I'm allergic to, we'll be good.
Yeah.
And I'll